In 1967, Roland Barthes wrote La mort de l'auteur, The Death of the Author, an essay proclaiming that the opinions of an author on what his text may mean are irrelevant to the interpretation of said text. In 2020, Julian and Magnus decided that the author's abilities are just as irrelevant. This is Kill the Author. Hello and welcome back to Kill the Author, the podcast that totally releases every second week. Man, I'm running out of jokes. We totally have a bi-weekly release schedule jokes.
Let's just not do that.
I mean, it's been half a year? That's nothing. And I mean, we finally have our full release network again. We can release to all of the platforms we released the first few episodes to. So, if you're only listening to us on those platforms, we are bi-weekly again, because we released the last few episodes, bi-weekly there. And also, you're probably wondering, what are they talking about with all that? We're not releasing bi-weekly. They are. What? What's going on there? We are on every platform except for YouTube, I guess.
I remember that I made a joke. You made a joke at the pool episode. That was 3 episodes ago. Like how in order to never be able to go to a swimming pool again, I got my foot surgeryed on. Yeah, this was more than a year ago.
Yeah.
I have since recovered, and I've since had surgery on my foot again, and recovered again.
On the other foot, and it was also a tumor. Things are happening. On the topic of things happening, not this episode. I mean, okay, things happened in this episode. On the one hand, a lot happened in this episode, and on the other hand, it was kind of just the things that happened at the end of last episode, but stretched.
I think we said something like this about the last one. How, at the same time, nothing is happening and a lot is happening.
Yeah. Because, I think the reason we see a lot happening is because we give this ridiculous level of detail to this entire show. Because the way I remember the show, fucking nothing happens for the middle of the show. And I think we only see stuff happening now because we look at it through this magnifying glass that this podcast is sort of built around.
The way that the last episode ended was with Kotonoha slapping Sekai in the face.
Yes. When I watched the first scene of the first episode, I was briefly for a second wait, what's the setup to this? I remember. Okay, I see. Yeah, she was slapped in the face.
Yeah. We're a bit later now in time. We are now outside at night on a playground with Sekai and Setsuna. I don't exactly know how this came to be.
My interpretation is it is the same night.
Yeah.
Sure. Sekai called Setsuna, and Setsuna having only one purpose in life, being there for Sekai.
Yeah, maybe she didn't call her. Setsuna's supernatural Sekai powers just called her.
No, Setsuna has just been following her this entire time, and now that Kotonoha went away, she joined her.
Have you ever seen Setsuna alone in any scene?
Yes, actually, in this episode.
Yeah, I mean before.
Maybe?
Exactly.
It's been a little bit. Also, something I wrote down for this first scene is, the first shot I dead-ass thought that was Kotonoha. And only with the reverse shot to Setsuna, I realized, oh, that's Sekai. I get it now. Because I forget how samey these character designs are. So they are on some sort of playground in this scene. And they're having the good old argument about relationship status.
Yeah. Basically, Sekai says that she ran into Kotonoha, though she specifically calls her Makoto's girlfriend. And then the obvious response is, but you're Makoto's girlfriend. Yeah, the usual.
I wrote a little I'm in hell there in the corner.
Sekai denies that this is true. Setsuna sees through the ruse, whatever, who cares. And Sekai says that there's nothing that she can do, that's just how things are. And then Setsuna alludes that I guess she's gonna find out herself what he really thinks.
Also, like, something that really shone through to me in this episode, like, in how Setsuna is characterized, the way she talks is like she doesn't understand that someone can sleep with two people. Later scenes in this episode will sort of go in a different direction, but in this episode it sounded, like, in this scene specifically, it sounded so much like Setsuna is just like, no, he can't be with Kotonoha. I mean, you were at his house before. Like, what the fuck?
Isn't that how everyone talks in the show?
Yes, but it's been a bit.
Makoto's just having a fun polyamorous relationship that no one is enjoying except for him.
Is a polyamorous relationship where you're the only one who's aware that they're in a polyamorous relationship? Isn't that just cheating?
Yeah, that sounds like a terrible excuse.
Baby, we're in a polyamorous relationship.
I'm not cheating on you, I just didn't tell you yet.
You're cool with that, right?
So after that we get the intro. It's the same as always. I wonder if someday something will actually happen in the intro.
Actually, like, this time the opening, like, felt like a punch in the face. Because, like, I didn't remember that much. We had, like, this very quiet, somber scene before the... It was such a break in tone. It was really... it really hit me hard. Also, like, in that scene at the start, this is a small thing, but Setsuna makes a ominous comment about her not having much time left. In regards to Sekai. And we'll find out later in this episode why.
I think we're gonna be discussing Setsuna's motifs a bit more in this episode. Especially in the second half. It's a bit more about that there.
Yeah.
But not yet. Now we get a scene in Makoto's class, according to my notes.
Welcome to Makoto's class.
Makoto class. In classroom number 4.
Also, like, this scene is another case. This happens to me every episode now, where I have to Google what Taisuke. I forget his name every time.
I also had to make sure it's not Daisuke, but we've had this before.
I have to Google his name. I know his name starts with T, and that's everything that I have.
All I wrote down is, Taisuke is here, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Taisuke is there and he's loud. And he specifically says to Makoto, you're still with Kotonoha, I hear.
Yeah.
I thought you broke up. And he believes this because she said so.
Which, that's reasonable. That's a reasonable reason to believe that.
Yeah.
And Makoto's being his regular, extremely smarmy self about whether or not they are in a relationship. He's like, there's multiple points of interpretation.
Yeah.
You're taunting us. You're taunting us with this multiple points of interpretation shit. This is for us. He's addressing us. He can go fuck himself.
He says, like, sometimes a man and a woman in a relationship have different views onto what their relationship is.
Sometimes the man says, we're in a polyamorous relationship.
No, it's like, yeah, sure, maybe that's true. But, like, you shouldn't disagree on whether you are in a relationship at all.
That seems kind of strange. That seems kind of unhealthy. I have literally nothing else to say about this scene.
No. Taisuke kind of runs off and makes some dumb comments like, well, you sound like a professional in this already. You're drifting so far away from me.
Fuck Taisuke.
Yeah, Taisuke and Makoto have a relationship, maybe, I don't care.
Just fuck Taisuke. Also, Setsuna is there.
And she's looking ominously.
Yeah, she's looking ominously, which is like...
In this episode, she does this like 6 times.
Yeah. Setsuna looks ominously, and Setsuna says that Makoto is with Sekai. That's the 2 things she does. It's also the 2 things she does in this episode.
So the next scene is in Setsuna's house, Sekai's house, and she flashbacks what happened at the end of the last episode.
The aftermath of the slap.
Immediately following it. And I thought this was interesting, because I think this is like the first real confrontation between these characters on their own in a while.
Yeah.
And basically Kotonoha is rightfully angry.
Yeah, and she knows what's going on at this point.
And she tells her to please stay away from him. Which, this is a strange way of phrasing this.
Yeah, this is probably the scene in this episode that I wrote the most about in my notes.
Like, we've talked about this before, but people are just incapable of blaming Makoto
for
the things that he does.
Yeah. Like, the way she really frames this conversation is not, how could you and Makoto, but how could you, and you should stay away from Makoto. Like like he's a dog and she's holding a piece of meat to him. Like, he doesn't have any agency in this. It's phrased in a way where it really seems like Makoto has no agency in this. Like, all of it is up to Sekai, and he's just gonna fucking jump on her if she comes too close to him. What I also found interesting about the scene, where we're already at it, is Sekai's perspective to this. Because, like, basically the only defense Sekai gives in this situation is that she did what she did because Makoto needed her. And that's why she went to him. Which, I don't know, I feel like Sekai's excuses usually come down to, you know, I'm an empath. Like, that kind of direction of a person. Like, I'm just seeing people around me and trying to improve their lives. Like how she got Makoto and Kotonoha together, and how she now goes to Makoto because, Makoto isn't happy in this relationship, so I have to help him with everything. And she, like, constantly tries to be the supportive person, but, like, she does pretty terrible shit. And, like, yes, Makoto has agency in this situation, and yes, it's also Makoto's fault, but, like, it feels also like she doesn't really, like, want to acknowledge her part in this. That what she did is wrong. Like, she does that later with Setsuna, but she never does this in this conversation. At least from what I remember of it. Also, I wrote down a pretty raw line in this context where Kotonoha says to her, "I thought you were a good person." That's just, oof. That just hit hard.
So the next scene is at school the next day. At a board meeting once again for the festival probably.
Oh yeah.
The teacher explains that it begins in 2 days. This is still within the confines of this episode, the festival. And you can clearly see Makoto avoid Kotonoha's view. Like, she's looking at him and she looks down at his notes. She doesn't want to look at her. Setsuna's there and she's unhappy. She looks mad because that's what she does. Setsuna, we kind of just get a scene that we've already had.
I wrote down the Setsuna Kotonoha Makoto scene repeats. That's what I wrote down.
Yeah. Basically, Kotonoha asks Makoto if they want to go home together. He says he can. Then Setsuna says no, he can't.
Yeah.
Whatever. He says yes, I can. And then no, we need to, like, fucking inspect the classroom.
Yeah.
Can we do this tomorrow? No, this is an obvious excuse. Of course we can't.
Yeah. Also, like, what I wrote down about this scene, what I thought was interesting is, with the scene before, with, like, the Kotonoha looks at Makoto and Makoto looks away in that scene, right? Like, Makoto acts in this scene with Setsuna and Kotonoha together like he has no idea why he shouldn't go home with Kotonoha. Like, he's completely oblivious to what's going on. But, like, he looked away when Kotonoha looked at him before. Like, he clearly knows what's going on here. Like, he's sending the mixiest of signals.
Kotonoha asks if she can just wait for him. But Setsuna says it's gonna be like 2 hours, whatever.
Yeah, of course, inspecting a classroom, for sure.
Oh yeah, also, remember Dutch angles? We get like an 80-degree rotation of the camera to the left. It's like, when I was watching this, I had to flip my head to the side completely to see what's going on.
I wrote down something, actually, like, I think for the next scene, where I actually wrote down something about how the scene is framed.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just grasping for straws because I need anything to be interesting, but, you know.
So basically, Setsuna says, is really walking home with Kotonoha more important to you than preparing for the festival? And then Kotonoha goes like, no, it's fine.
And I was mad at that because I wanted Makoto to make that excuse.
And then she's like, no, it's fine, it's fine. And then she apologizes, which is all she ever does.
Yes.
And then, in the next scene after, which is just a really short scene in the classroom, Makoto actually kind of defends Kotonoha. Because he, like, asks Setsuna, why do you have to be like this to Kotonoha? Why are you always so rude to her? And, like,
because,
Makoto,
you don't know, my dude.
Sure.
Yeah, sure.
Sure, hypocrite.
Also, like, right after this is where I think this scene gets interesting. And it's, like, the most interesting part of the episode. Which is, Setsuna basically puts the conflict in black or white in this scene. Like, she goes, okay, Makoto, Sekai or Kotonoha, you have to choose. Which one do you choose? Which is, I think, important to have that moment in this episode.
So yeah, this is what mostly happens in the scene.
Yeah.
Setsuna asks Makoto, okay, seriously, what is your relationship to these? Who do you want to be with? And then he summarizes the plot. Like, he just says, at first I wanted to be with Kotonoha, but now I don't like it anymore, and I want to be with Sakai because I like her more, and I like being around her more. Like, I knew this already.
Yes, but like to have it be... I mean, I'm sure that was talked about before, right? But to have Makoto like finally putting it out there, like, this is kind of... This feels in this moment like Makoto finally like making his choice. And there's gonna be something that kind of works against that later in this episode. But this is kind of the point where he like decides, okay, Sekai, to me. Like, he verbalizes it to Setsuna. And while there are other scenes between him and Kotonoha later in this episode, they feel more like he's coming from a place of, okay, I'm not with Kotonoha anymore. Which, you know, in this situation, it's a good thing. It's just he should let her know. He should kind of let Kotonoha know about that.
This is because I was talking about Setsuna's motivations here. What Setsuna does all the time is she always tries to keep Makoto away from Kotonoha and get him to be with Sakai. What I'm wondering is why is she not trying to get Makoto to like break up with Kotonoha or telling Kotonoha that they're supposed to break up or something?
Yeah.
She always just wants them to not be near each other. Like, isn't her goal that Sakai and Makoto are together, not Kotonoha? Why isn't she making them break up? She like always specifically is not doing this.
Yeah.
That's weird.
What? Yeah, like the way she phrases the question in this episode too is not in a way of like, you know, you're breaking up with Kotonoha now, but in the way of, okay, neutrally, who do you like more? I like Sekai more. Why do you like Sekai more? Because of this and that. So you're gonna be with Sekai now, but not in a way of, okay, you're not gonna be with Kotonoha now anymore. And I think I know why. She phrases it like this. And it's because this is a fucking visual novel. Like, I'm pretty sure that goes back to the game roots, and they just didn't fix that for the anime. Because in a visual novel, you don't break up with people. You just only get together with one. This is, again, like we've talked about this a little bit before, but this is that the anime follows the way you play the game is really to its detriment. Because in the game, you would, like, try to, of course, get as far as possible with as many characters as possible, so you can finally, if some of the routes don't work, get to that one route that works the best for you. But, like, that is not how human relationships work. That's how a fucking visual novel video game works.
Like, my explanation for why she's not trying to really break them apart was lazy writing.
Yeah,
so that the conflict can go on forever.
I mean, it is lazy writing, but I think it's lazy writing that can be brought back to that. I think it's lazy writing that can be brought back to that's how it works in the game. And they just never bother to fix that. They never bother to adapt that.
Two more minor things about the scene. There's another ridiculous Dutch angle to the right. Around the end of the scene, there's this really weird thing where we get a shot of people outside in gym class in like sunset. And I'm thinking, okay, so we're moving to a different scene, but then we're just back in the classroom.
Yeah.
They it's like they were lacking a shot of the classroom, so they just used something else.
Actually, like, I have something written down about that shot of the classroom. It's a very minor thing, but it's like the only interesting thing I could latch onto in this scene. And that's the positioning of the characters. Because where Makoto stands at the back of the class is basically where he always sits in class and where he doesn't pay attention and swaps notes with Sekai all the time, while Setsuna has taken the position of the front of the class. She's standing in the teacher position. And she's the one who like begs the question to Makoto, who like sort of forces him to confront that thing that he's been avoiding all this time. Like in the same way that I'm actually bringing this back to something that means something. Do you know how in all of the classroom scenes, the teacher calls out Makoto for not paying attention?
Yes.
This is what's happening here. We have Setsuna in the teacher position, taking the role of the adult in the room, calling Makoto out for like just going with the flow. No, you have to choose. You have to choose this or that. Like she calls him to attention in the same way that the teacher does. Brilliant visual metaphor in how the framing of the scene was handled.
Very interesting, yeah. Definitely intentional.
I mean, I choose to believe it is.
Yes, that's the point.
That's the point.
So, in the next scene, oh yeah, right, at the end of the scene, she just lets him go to be with Sekai.
Yeah.
Not to, like, I don't know, break up with Kotonoha, to just go to Sekai and keep pushing the problem away.
No, breaking up is not something that people think about.
It's not an option.
In this show. I was actually thinking, on the topic of breaking up, I was thinking that when Makoto said to Taisuke earlier in the episode, some people have different perspectives on relationships. Does he mean that he doesn't think he was ever in a relationship with Kotonoha? Like, does he think they're just dating and haven't actually been in a relationship, and that's why he doesn't feel the need to break up with her?
I don't know. Maybe Makoto has just a different understanding of a relationship.
Like, I'd have to go back throughout the episode, but, like, does he ever do anything that shows that he thinks he's in a relationship? Does he ever say we're in a relationship? Because, like, it would be very oblivious of him not to notice that Kotonoha constantly says the word boyfriend and girlfriend. But I don't know, that might be an explanation or something like that. I'm
maybe
grasping to straws. But basically, yeah, that's what this scene comes down to, and then in the end Makoto leaves.
So the next scene is at Sekai's house where Makoto is now going. And he writes Sekai a message.
No, he doesn't.
He doesn't?
He doesn't.
Wait, did I interpret the scene wrong?
I thought about it for a second, but no. We see at the end of that little scene, we see Setsuna in the classroom with her phone open and a message on it.
Yeah,
she sent the message.
Yeah, okay.
She sent the message that Makoto was about to show up at her house, and that he would be too much of a pussy to ring the doorbell.
Yeah,
apparently.
Probably. That I did not understand.
Yeah, because he stands in front of her door and he wants to ring the doorbell, but then he hesitates, he doesn't. And at the same time, inside, Sekai gets a message, in my assumption from Setsuna, and gets the door, and he's just been standing there for 5 minutes, I guess, not doing anything.
This is so pathetic.
Yeah!
Why is anyone helping him? I don't understand.
This is the ultimate case of, like, harem anime principle, right? Like, why would anyone? Why does this guy have, like, at this point, as far as we know, 2 women who want to get with him? But, like, why does he have 1?
So then Sekai opens the door, and Makoto goes inside. Then, like, I don't know, she, like, changes clothes, so she's, like, in another room while he perverts over her clothes.
Yeah, he leers at her reddish uniform.
Let's just skip that part. He, like, says some dumb comments about a pajama.
Sekai, I made a note about that. Sekai notes that her mom isn't home.
Yeah.
Sekai has a mom?
She has a mother who was name dropped.
She lives with a parent? I deadass thought she lived alone. I deadass did not think she has parents that live with her.
No one has parents.
I mean, like, okay, we have mention of her parents, and we have heard the voice of Kotonoha's mother. Okay, we have 2 people who have confirmed moms now.
A whole 2 parents.
A whole 2 parents for all of our characters combined.
It is revealed that she didn't go to school that day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
She says she wasn't feeling well.
Which I wrote down. Technically, Kotonoha told her not to get near Makoto.
Yeah, she didn't.
Not going to class means she didn't get near him, so technically she didn't. Makoto came to her.
She did not break her, whatever you call this when you're, like, legally not allowed to be near someone.
Restraining order?
Yeah, she did not break her restraining order.
Sekai, please, file a restraining order.
Yeah, there we go. That's the solution.
Everyone should file a restraining order.
Can we file a class action lawsuit?
All the people
for all of mankind.
I was hurt by the anime. Like, I didn't mention this before. I mentioned this before when, like, right after I watched the episode. But getting back to this show literally hurt me. I got emotional damages from watching this episode. I had forgotten how much this hurts. Especially this part of the show. And like the scene continues. I think up to this point there was a lot of stuff in this episode where I actually thought, okay, the plot is kind of moving forwards with Makoto accepting stuff. And like, if I didn't remember what the rest of the show was like, I might be thinking we're moving towards a resolution. But from this scene onwards, this half of the episode just infuriated me.
Yeah, like Sekai explains to Makoto what happened.
Mm-hmm.
Like how she ran into Kotonoha and he like freaks out.
And he gets mad at her.
Like, that's why I told you not to leave.
Like, what the fuck? He gets mad at her for meeting Kotonoha after the scene he caused there.
Yeah, and then Sekai goes like, "This what we're doing is wrong, right? This is not okay."
Yeah.
And then he responds, "What do you mean?
Isn't this what you want as well?
Isn't this okay?"
Yeah.
Yeah. There is a Kotonoha. Maybe not in Makoto's brain.
Just something that I want to get back to at this point, because like what he literally says to her is, like, isn't this what you want? Which again brought me back to this idea of a visual novel, where like he's basically playing the Kotonoha and the Sekai path right now, and isn't this what you want to as well? Sounds to me like, you know, he's trying to fulfill her conditions for dating. Didn't I do the right thing in this situation? I mean, maybe it says something deeper about dating in general and dating being like a game. I don't know, just throwing out stuff here. Maybe it's a metaphor.
Grasping at straws.
Yeah, grasping at straws is the title of this episode.
Like, Makoto is absolutely incapable of understanding that what they're doing is wrong and unfair for Kotonoha.
Yeah.
This is what I came away with in this scene.
Mm-hmm.
And then the end of the scene, he just starts making out with her.
No, he doesn't. I mean, okay, he starts making out with her.
He tries. He kisses her.
Yeah. He kisses her and tries to, you know, like, get her on the floor and
do the
just
thing.
Fuck her right there and then, right? But in the process, he spills the green tea. I'm learning Japanese again right now. That's ochai. Ochai, I think, is green tea. I'm learning Japanese right now. The ochai spills over, and Sekai just has to get up. Like, he says, we can leave that for later. And she has to get up and put it away. And he's on the ground there like, oh like,
man.
I
don't know if this is supposed to be funny or tragic. You never know with this show.
Yeah. I mean, like, this especially infuriates me with something that happens a little bit later in this episode, but we'll get to it.
So next we get something very similar to what we had before. An establishing shot of some lamp outside. It's still dark. And then we move back to the exact same place that we just left again just later. Exact. I was just gonna say, there's a scene at the party at the end of the room.
Yeah.
Where it cuts from the party to an establishing shot of San Francisco and then back to the party.
Yeah.
It's just pointless.
Yeah, it's just. Yeah, I know that we're here. You showed me.
I actually had to go back and make sure that they're still at the same location. But they are. This is Sekai's bedroom.
Yeah.
They're still there.
Yeah.
But yeah, now Setsuna's there. That's the difference. Makoto is gone, Setsuna's there.
It's just to show the time has passed, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so. Maybe that's what this shot in the room was for. I don't remember.
Maybe. Yeah, I mean, yeah, but like the time that passed in the room was like 2 minutes, maybe. Nothing significant had changed. So yeah, here we have Sekai and Setsuna in the room now. Let me summarize this scene really quickly, okay? Let's do that together. You play the part of Sekai and I play the part of Setsuna, alright?
Oh no.
Okay? Just, if you remember the scene the same way I do, this will work out. No, okay, let's do it the other way around. I'm Sekai,
Okay.
you're Setsuna. Okay.
Did your talk with Makoto go well? I don't see where this is going.
It's the entire scene is just Setsuna saying stuff to Sekai and she's like, So, did you talk to Makoto? Will he break up with Kotonoha now? Like, this is all that's going on. Also, like, I just realized, like, they talk about breaking up.
Yeah,
in this
they
scene.
did. I was just gonna say.
They do mention the concept of breaking up.
So that means Setsuna actually does want them to break up?
Yeah, she's aware of the option. She's aware of the possibility of a breakup.
No, she's just being mysterious.
I guess, like, maybe she wants Makoto to do it on his own, but, like, Makoto has shown that he can't do anything on his own. But yeah, like, and Sekai responds to, will he break up with Kotonoha now, with a yes, basically.
Yeah, she just says yes, which is
What?
a lie.
What? What the fuck? He said nothing of the like. There was nothing like that in that scene. Did we skip that? Does that happen off screen? Because that seems pretty important. Like, the vibe I got in this whole scene from Sekai, like, with how I just reenacted that, is Sekai just wants Setsuna to stop already with the meddling in the relationship. That's kind of the vibe I got, because she's, like, very dismissive in this scene.
Sekai is looking at her phone, looking at the I like you more message she got from Makoto, I think 2 episodes ago.
Yeah, it happened a while ago. I remember that happening.
Like, yeah, she's conflicted.
She's still clinging to that.
Nothing new.
Yeah. Like, Sekai is a conflicted character with a troubled relationship here. Like, I see how in a better anime I could vibe with her a lot more. Like, I get her struggle.
I can sort of get most of the characters.
Yeah.
Except for Makoto.
Yeah, and that's kind of an issue, because he's our main character.
Is he the protagonist?
I think we had that discussion before. I think we had the discussion if he's the protagonist or if Sekai is the protagonist.
I choose that he is not.
Yeah, I mean, I also prefer the anime from the perspective of Sekai is the protagonist, and we just have... Like, it is about the 3... whatever it was... meet in a summer.
The 3 guys
The
met
3
or
guys.
something.
Yeah, it's about the 3 guys, right? It's not just about Makoto.
2.5
it's about
guys.
all 3 guys. guys.
So next is a very short
Yeah.
scene just in Makoto's class. Sekai's back in school.
And acts like nothing happened.
Yeah, Hikari beefsteak. Asks her if she's fine.
Yeah.
And she's like, yep, everything's cool.
She's all smiles.
Oh yeah,
She's all
I
smiles
know this
today.
in this. I think that's an artifact of the time this anime was made, but their mouths are too high. They're like right below the nose.
Yeah.
I think people just used to make anime like this for a while.
Not all anime, but like a certain type of anime did definitely look like that. Like that's especially
The
a
low-budget
staple.
type.
That's especially a staple though of like more romance-based anime. Yeah, like you have that a lot. These kind of character designs in
But
romance
why?
anime.
Are these just more kissable faces?
Why do American cartoons have bean-shaped faces? It's just something that happens, you know?
Do they?
I mean, some of them have.
Okay.
Steven Universe has a bean-shaped face.
Yeah, but like
The
Steven and not a lot of other characters.
in that cat from Gumball has a bean-shaped face.
I think this bit is going nowhere.
They have bean-shaped faces is all I'm saying.
Okay, so we had the bean discussion.
We have a new cat now.
Yeah,
Last episode we have a cat named Bean now.
Yeah, we do. We did.
It's probably not relevant to anything, but yeah. While we're already on the bean discussion, right?
We're talking about beans. Okay, the next scene is at Haramas. Wait.
It's at a train station.
Yeah, the next one is at a train station, the name of which I did not recognize. Haramasu is what it's called. So I went on the wiki to look it up.
Oh, you did?
I don't know what happened to Fandom, like the website that hosts these, but it's become significantly harder to look up something.
Okay.
So I went on the start page of the wiki, and there I saw a message there, like about recent news. And it says, from the 14th of May to the 23rd of July 2021, German anime publisher Animoon officially released a German dubbed version of the anime.
Of School Days?
Yes, a month ago.
Why? Why did we get the dub of School Days a month ago?
I don't know. As well as the Magical Heart Kokoro-chan OVA. The one that we saw is on the Blu-ray.
A dub?
Yes, a German dub.
If we had kept to our release schedule, we'd have never found out about that.
I guess we're starting over now.
I mean, I have to look it up, right? Like, I have to compare it from this point onward.
When we're done, we're gonna watch the entire thing through in German.
I mean, we do have a bad movie night tomorrow.
Yeah, but I have the Blu-ray, and I want it to be worth the money I paid for it. It destroyed my computer.
Okay, so German dub aside, what did you find out about that train station?
Nothing. It doesn't have There's no article on the wiki.
Perfect. This discussion was absolutely worth it.
Yes. So, Kotonoha gets into the train station there.
Oh, that's the scene where I wrote down, "This is so gross, I hate this."
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it does make sense that this is a station without a name that matters. Because this isn't the normal train station where she goes in. This is another one. I guess where Kotonoha went, as she says herself, specifically went in so that no one would see. And probably also to make it harder for him to avoid her, I think.
Yes, but also, like, I want to explore that idea. Like, I haven't really written down or thought too much about that, but what do you think she means by that? Like, she doesn't want to be seen by other people in the school.
Maybe she means Sekai? But she doesn't enter there. Or does she?
I mean, okay, I could get that she doesn't want to meet Sekai because, like, the awkward situation of the day before, but she doesn't, like, feel like she's in the wrong in this situation.
Okay, for the next episode, I'm gonna have to draw a map of the school day subway line so that I know who gets in where.
So that you can build it in 3D so we can traverse it to relive the experience of school days.
in real time.
In real time. So, this is the final episode of our podcast. Here, please check out the full-on open-world school days game we made in the last few weeks. That's how the podcast is going to end. We're going to be absolutely insane.
I think it did say on the start page also that there's a fan project to translate the game into English, like the original game. And that would be nice.
It would be nice. Like, I haven't found a ROM of it that works so far.
I can imagine that the original game is less horrible than the anime.
Maybe, but like we'd have to find out, you know.
Yeah. From what I've read, it doesn't seem a lot better.
We'll do that as a Let's Play, not as a podcast.
Sure we will.
I mean, I would. I would.
I would. The rest of the scene, can we just skip?
I mean, I'd love to. But
We've talked enough about the scene.
I think this scene is relevant. I think this... Okay, like, I actually, it's not that relevant. There's one thing that's relevant about it.
Okay. You do the talking, I'm gonna drink this water.
Okay. Don't do a spit take, okay? Don't do a spit take. No! Swallow. Immediately. I see that you're holding the water in your mouth. Okay.
You know, you're making me laugh. I can't swallow.
No spit takes allowed. Alright. So, Kotonoha joins Makoto on the train. And, like, she hugs up close to him. Like, she grabs his arm and, like, pulls herself against it. Stop drinking. You're making me nervous. And...
The glass is empty.
That's what I mentioned previously about, like, him having made his choice here. Because he seems very awkward in this scene. Like... The way he was previously when Kotonoha was asking him, hey, can we drive home or something like that? Like, he was very jovial about it. But now that he is driving home with her, he seems very awkward. He's, like, red. And, like, he doesn't know what to do with himself in this scene. And it takes him a while to think of something to say. I think he does say something to her. I didn't write down what specifically. But the important part is that he stares at her tits next.
Yeah, and then she talks about her tits.
Yeah.
And how he can touch her tits.
She feels the need to say, hey, you're gonna be able to touch them soon. Like, specifically trying to, like, I don't know, bribe him with her body.
Like the idea being, okay, whatever. You can do whatever the fuck. But you gotta go to the folk dance with me at the festival.
Yeah.
This is what she says in the scene.
That was mentioned previously, which is like everybody who's at the folk dance will stay together for the rest of the year or whatever the fuck they said.
Yeah. Then he leaves the train at the ending. We just get one more tiny scene of Setsuna and Sekai at Sekai's house. Who cares? Nothing happens there. And then Makoto just says he sucks. Which is true.
He does.
He does.
It's
good.
The thing with that scene, like that's what I mentioned before when I said there's this scene where he throws himself on Sekai and she like turns him down. But we know that they had sex before. They had sex a few times. And like when Kotonoha says that to him, like, I'll let you have sex with me, basically, if we go to the folk dance together. He says, yeah, basically. He says, okay. Like, he implies, yes, I'll go to the folk dance with you. But like the way we've seen Makoto act so far and how he makes his choices in this relationship thing is who lets me have the most sex? Like, who lets me do the most sexual stuff with them? Like, what he said in this episode was, it's just easier with Sekai. He can be himself more, which, is fair enough. But what we've seen is, it's easier for him to have sex with Sekai than with Kotonoha.
Yeah, the problem is that no one wants Makoto to be himself.
Yeah, because I feel like that is what he means by being himself. I get to fuck them. And like, Kotonoha promising him, I'll let you do that to me if you go to the folk dance with him. Like, he says yeah in that scene, but like, he can have sex with Sekai whenever he wants. And that seems to be the only thing he gives a fuck about. And I don't know if Kotonoha is aware of that. I truly hope she isn't at that point, because that's a horrible thing to think about.
But like, that's all he is. Why does anyone want to be with Makoto?
Because he's the main character.
Yeah,
of
but
this
that
anime.
sucks.
I know that sucks. But like, that's all we're given. That's all we're given about this guy. And Makoto says he sucks. And
Good.
he does.
Yes. We have one last scene for this.
Half of the episode.
So we're now, I think this is the first time we've ever seen where Setsuna lives.
I'm not sure if this is the first time, but I think it might be, yeah.
Yeah. And she's packed all of her stuff because school day, Setsuna goes to France.
Yeah.
The sequel everyone wanted.
Yeah, she has a brochure lying around for France,
Yeah.
for like the country.
Yeah, it's not a brochure, it's a guidebook. It's like a thick book.
Okay.
And she speaks on the phone in French. Yeah.
Oh, she does?
Yeah, she does.
Ah, I didn't even notice that she talks in French.
She does. And according to the subtitles, she says something about that she's gonna stay in an apartment in the 15th district until the final arrangements are decided. And she's speaking in French. So is she talking to someone in France? So is she talking about a 15th district in France?
Maybe she's talking to her French parents who we've never met.
Yeah.
You know?
So what I want to know is, does Paris have districts that are numbered? Because the brochure, the image on it, it is not clear what it shows, but the architecture on it looks like Paris, at least.
So you're saying that like you didn't look that up?
So the 15th district of Paris is called the Arrondissement de Vaugirard. That's what it's called. It's in the southwest of the city, and it's where the other Statue of Liberty is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's one in France.
Yeah, I mean, France made both, right?
Yeah, it's in one of the National Treasure films, I think. Because what I don't remember.
There's two Statues of Liberty. France made both. One they sent to New York, one they kept.
Isn't there another one in Las Vegas? But
yeah,
everything in Las Vegas is
Las
fake.
Vegas is just building stuff. Like, come on, that doesn't count. So, what does that mean?
Nothing. It's an option. This could be what she's meaning.
Okay, like my interpretation of the scene was it's like where she stays right now, which again like implies like, does she live on her own? Does she have parents? What do her parents do? Do they live with her right now?
Is she moving with her parents, or is she just like moving across continents on her own as a 14-year-old?
I mean, who knows? The parent situation in this anime baffles me.
We get one more ultra Dutch angle. There's a lot of him in this episode. And in the end, she goes like, okay, Sekai is with Makoto. She will be fine. And that's where this half of the episode ends. And this is weird. Cause like for the first time I asked like, why does she want Sekai to be with someone at all?
Yeah.
Cause it's revealed here she moves to France, and I guess she wants Sekai to be fine. Cause she's probably never gonna see her again, and she wants her to be happy, or whatever. But like, why does this mean she needs to be in a relationship?
There's implications about that, cause like, the vibe I get in this scene specifically is I'm not gonna be here for her anymore, so she needs someone else. Which would imply that like Sekai doesn't have friends, but she does have friends. She has a whole group of friends she regularly hangs out with.
Yeah.
Does she not have any very close friends maybe? Cause like, I'm pretty sure Hickory Beefsteak like is a close friend of hers and does show up at her house a few times later on. And
if you're listening to this episode of Context, you must be thinking there's just a beefsteak on legs in this show that gives advice.
One of the girls, all right? Her name's Hikari. This is a good point. Like, why does she think Sekai needs someone? Like, again, like I hate to constantly bring this back to the game, but I feel like that is the one motivation she has in a game context, right?
Maybe so she can be a continued force of conflict.
Maybe. It's like that is her role in the anime, for sure. But like, why would you want like what I also think is interesting about this is why does she think, as you said, Sekai needs a person to be with, needs someone in particular to be with. And I think that might get us a bit further because, like, Sekai is the person who, like, we see the most just lying in her bed, not doing anything. We see her staying home from school because she just can't manage to go to school and something like that. That kind of raises the question, does Sekai have, like, deeper lying psychological problems? Like, to me, that seems like the way she's often portrayed when she's on her own, just basically lying on her bed and not doing anything. Like, that's something I see a lot with people who have depression and stuff like that. It's not something the show ever, like, directly brings up or something like that, but that might be part of the reason why Setsuna thinks that Sekai seems kind of coded to be a depressed person. And maybe that's why Setsuna thinks she needs someone to be there for her, because that's something like, I have depression, and that's something that helps me in this situation a lot. Like, I often need someone to talk me out of it. Maybe that's where this is going in that sense. I don't think they, like, intentionally made her have depression or anything like that, because it's never really brought up. But she seems to be portrayed like someone who does. Just because maybe the image that some of the creators of the show had in their mind of someone like her was maybe someone they knew who had depression or something like that.
Maybe. It's a better explanation than she's a plot device.
I mean, finding a better explanation than this person is a plot device is what this podcast is about. That's our job.
That's the
here,
point.
Basically. And we're back to it. We're now at dawn of the final day. 0 hours remain. We're at the school festival next episode.
I've already watched the latter half of this.
I mean, I did too, like 3 or 4 times, but not specifically right now for this episode yet.
Maybe tomorrow. There's this horrible tradition of ending every bad movie night, or if possible, with just watching all of School Days. This usually starts at like 2 a.m.
Yeah, this is for the
strong people.
Yeah, this is like when a bar starts playing like mismatched bagpipe music to get the last people out of the bar, because they won't leave on their own. Like that's us watching School Days at 2 a.m. Like if you haven't left yet, you're hopefully gone after like episode 3.
Sounds like one of those clickbait YouTube videos. Don't watch School Days at 3 in.
I watched School Days at 3 a.m.
You won't believe what happened.
I got a shitty state of mind and slept bad. That's only what happened. We'll meet you back again for that. Boy.
We're not making promises.
Next episode is gonna be very rough, because that is not a good part of the show.
Yeah.
But on the positive side, that's the part of the show where, in my mind, the nothing happens middle of the show ends. So, at the very least, things will happen. We hope we meet you again. We're, like, I'm gonna fucking push it that we're gonna do it in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Like, we have a steady release schedule now, and I super want to do it. I have another podcast running right now, too. If you haven't checked it out yet, it's called Waypoint. It's an actual play podcast about superheroes. Which we also have managed to stick to the 2-week release schedule, too. So I'm going to use that as motivation to do that with this show as well.
I'm making a map editor for school. I also have things for school going on. No. I'm making a map editor for School Days.
Perfect. All right. Then see you again in 2 weeks. Yes, in 2 weeks. It will be in 2 weeks. And until then, have a fulfilling experience of life. Bye-bye.
Bye.